Alright, so with Genshin 1.3 coming out soon with the release of Xiao, I wanted to do a video going over his story to maybe give him a bit of hype, I guess, although I don't really think he needs it. So in this video we're going to go over his story and maybe his potential role in the future of Genshin, although he already plays a major role in Leeway. So with that being said, let's get into his story. Now, if you want to see the stories of future characters, I'll put a link to the website and what I use. It's Genshin Honey, if you don't know what that is. It lets you see characters early and things like that. But it might change in the full release, but I doubt it since it's just text. So with that being said, let's get into it. Xiao may have the appearance of a young man, but his true age is something over 2,000 years. Fortunately, people do not tend to underestimate him on the basis of his appearance. One only needs to spend a short time with Xiao to clarify that he is not someone to be trifled with. Xiao is a man of few words. He is highly dangerous and has the most piercing gaze you've ever seen. He enjoys a formidable reputation and high level of seniority among the adepti, but is relatively unknown in the mortal realm. This is inevitable. Xiao is not one of those popular deities to whom people pray for wealth and protection, nor is he a mystical sage of Jian Kars to whom pilgrims flock in research. No, if any mortal witnesses Xiao unleashing his true power, it is certain to be under the duress of circumstance, and they will be extremely lucky if they survive the ordeal. This is not because Xiao seeks to harm people. Rather, since Xiao wages a constant war against dark forces powerful enough to devour Leeway in its entirety, any bystander who witness him in the heat of battle are likely to end up as collateral damage. Not that this is a secret worth going around silencing witnesses for. What exactly is Xiao wrestling with? The tactful answer would be old grudges, unfulfilled dreams, the lamentation of the vanquished. The unmigrated truth is that Xiao fights against the remnants of the defeated gods of the Archon War, which took place prior to the rise of the Seven. Morax defeated these gods and buried their remains beneath the rocks of the earth. However, gods are immortal. Their consciousness may diminish, but their power and hatred always remains and spread like poison, relentlessly stirring up chaos for the world and its inhabitants. Leeway's rulers, who are aware of the truth regarding Xiao, refer to him in his millennia-long experience as the bane of all evil. The war he fights can never be won. He will never come to an end. It is also an invisible war that no one will ever witness or thank him for. Xiao is not this Yaksha's true name, but a name given to him in the interests of his own protection. Back in a younger, more naive time, a god had gotten a hold of Xiao's weakness and forced him to serve as their bloodhound, in which capacity he was forced to perform cruel and violent acts. Many died at his hands, many hopes were crushed, and he was even forced into devouring his victims' dreams. As much as it pained him to do this, he was helpless to resist. Finally, on the battle of the Archon War, Morax, the Geo-Archon, had a fateful encounter with the Yaksha's master. The current state of the world has already revealed the results of that battle. Rex Lapis liberated the Yaksha and gave him the name Xiao. In the fables of the other world, the name Xiao is that of a spirit who encountered a great suffering and hardship. He endured much suffering as you have. Use this name from now on. To repay his debts of gratitude to the Geo Archon, Xiao shouldered the burden of protecting Liyue in the millennia that followed. His past of serving under the evil god had rid Xiao of his innocence and gentleness. All that remained within him was the means to kill and weight of his sins. The only way he could be of service to mortals was in combat. But what could the people do for him in return? No one would ever stop to ask such a question. The sight of Xiao, even far off in the far distance, was intimidating enough to send people instantly running for their lives. That said, if ever someone did want to show some appreciation for Xiao, there is perhaps one thing they could try. There is a certain secret agent from the Qixing who is tasked with supporting Xiao in subduing demons. The secret agent runs a front organization called the Wang Shuin. Occasionally, Xiao stops by the inn for a bowl of almond tofu. And if you could see that look on his face when he eats it, there's no mistaking it. He clearly loves the stuff. Nevertheless, it is not the sweet taste that Xiao hankers after. It's the texture he finds irresistible. Apparently, it's similar to that of the dreams he used to devour. What exactly is Xiao wrestling with? Those in power in Liyue know of Xiao's battle against the evil manifestation produced by the remnants of defeated gods. However, if you ask Xiao the same question, he may well give you an entirely different answer. Xiao was once enslaved by an evil god and suffered immensely under his rule until, finally, regaining his freedom at Rex Lapis's hands. Xiao's powers were highly regarded by the adepti to begin with. He seemed to vanquish all matter of evil demons with consummate ease. But the evil gods also held immense power, and their lust for revenge ran deeper than mere mortals could ever contemplate. Xiao relentlessly slaughtered countless manifestations of their vengeful remnant souls, but in doing so, he caused these souls to become increasingly fractured. Eventually, fragments of their hatred were able to taint Xiao's own soul. The only way to eradicate such hatred is to accept the karmic debt it brings. The magnitude of the bad karma Xiao had accumulated over the years is enough to consume flesh, bone, and soul alike. And yet, Xiao does not feel any hatred. Having lived for over 2,000 years, no single karmic debt constitutes anything more than a fleeting memory. No grudge can last 1,000 years, nor is any debt so great that it cannot be paid off in this time. Xiao has spent many long years alone, but his battles have never been in vain, because ultimately, the one with whom Xiao wrestles is himself. What does Xiao fight against? The traveler understands very well that Xiao fights against the darkness that threatens Liyue. He fights to defend Liyue, but who will defend him? There was once when most of Xiao's strength was spent fighting from dusk till dawn. With him emerging victorious by a mere hair, the reeds fields had been sliced to ribbons in the fierce fighting. Plucking his spear from where it had been planted in the ground, Xiao began to trek home. Well, one says home. Yet, where did Xiao have to return to? He was merely leaving the battlefield. Long, exhausted, Xiao felt the divine hatred that tainted his body take effect. Limitless hatred flooded his senses, and he fell to the ground in agony. But it was also in that moment the pain vanished without warning. This was not by Xiao's own strength, for he had been rescued by the sound of a flute. The clear, lovely sound of the flute came over the mountains and rivers, carried on the winds to where he laid. And clear, It continued to ring until the first light of dawn brought with it the startling flight of distant birds. It protected Xiao, massaging his wild senses and giving him a moment's peace. Who was playing this music? Xiao was curious but did not pursue the matter, for he already had something approaching an answer. The last person who could help him was one of the seven themselves. So this person, too, must be. Alright, so that's the story for you. There is some more text here. The ode to Windborn's wrath, and I guess the vision, what Xiao thinks of the vision. But that's something different. I just wanted to tell the story, and it gives something else for you guys to look forward to when you get Xiao, since those are unlocked at different friendship levels, as you will. So yeah, I really do like telling these stories. If you guys want to see more in the future, please tell me down below what character I should do. So this is something new that I haven't done before on my channel, but if you like it, please give it a like and tell me what you think down below. So with that being said, I hope I can do more in the future, and this is going to be the end of the video. So yeah.